Hare Krishna. Hello? Yeah.
It's too bright, Mataji, your video.
Sorry?
It's too bright, your
Oh.
video.
Used to bright.
Yeah.
I'm going dark. Is it okay? It's okay?
This is fine, Mataji.
All right. Anyway, something is not proper here. Got bright and then dark. Is it all right? Yeah. It's fine?
Yes, Mataji, this is better.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagati Naishtuki Om Adhyanatinarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Shakhanditamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Prabhupada Priya Shri Girirajaya Sami Sivakta Shastra Vidyaya Nirida Sadhana Shaline Rararas Bihari Vyam Bhaktivyas Shatmadayini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatadesha Yukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Langayate Girim Yatrika Tanham Bande Shri Guru Dinataranam Hare Krishna. So, let's recite prayers to Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. We are on Adi Lila chapter 5. And we are going to discuss today text 64, 65. So last week we spoke about, okay. So last week we discussed text 58. All right. Is it so? Very good. We discussed that. So Rashmi, you had sent me a message that in Bhagavatam, which section was discussing the same point?
Mataji, Canto 2, chapter number 5, and it is those texts starting from 20 onwards, 18 onwards. So the same thing about creation. Creation is being, Narad Muni has asked Brahma, Lord Brahma, how this creation is being done, and Brahmaji is answering.
So what did you learn?
So they say it was about how it was very complicated, but in a very short, it was how Krishna is first of all the second Shankarshan who then expands as Mahavishnu. He is first agitating Maya. Now in Maya, at that point, Pradhan is avyakta. So she is in a dormant phase. So all the three gunas, Sattvagun, Tamagun, and Rajogun, they are in equal proportion. As soon as Mahavishnu looks at Maya, this by the this time factor, because of this time factor, Maya is agitated. So now Rajogun and Sattvagun initially become more. Tamagun later appears, and then because of the action of this Rajogun and Tamagun, Kal karma, the karma of this activity, the karma of the Jivatma, which has gone to become dormant in Mahavishnu's body, his reaction, so his activities, his reaction, and then his swabhav. Because of his swabhav of all these activity of this Jivatma is to lord over material nature. So now creation has to start because Krishna is wanting to fulfill the desire. So now because of this Kal, Karma, the result which is being provided by providence, and the Jiv Atma's Swabhav, now the next step will start. Then the next step will be Pradhan. So the next step now, Maya will now activate this material ingredients one by one. So from Tamogun, all the material ingredients will come: earth, air, water, fire, ether. Then from Rajogun, mind and the sense activities will come. I've only been understanding, reading till there, Mataji. So
very good. Very good. The most complicated section about creation of Bhagavatam, you could give us a summary, yes. Yeah, that's good. So now, very specific, this text 58. So Maya Shakti resides outside the Karana ocean. Maya cannot touch its waters. Maya has two varieties of existence. Okay? Two varieties of existence. One is called Pradhan or Prakriti, and it supplies the ingredients of the material world. So now you're speaking of Pradhan. What's this? That is a new computer, new camera. So what's happening? Oh, you still logged on?
Yeah, I'm seeing
Yeah. Anyway, let me just go to the class. We're just trying it out. Let me go on with the class. Later we'll do this. Yeah, so Maya has two varieties of existence. We've got pen and paper. Everybody's got pen and paper. All right. So what are those two varieties? One is pradhan, which is the ingredients of creation that you just described. Rashmi, you have described pradhan. All right. Then comes the second.
The causal aspect.
Yeah, correct. The cause, meaning what is causing this whole material manifestation. So you spoke of kala, karma, the jiva swabhav, and something else.
Providence.
Providence, yes. So meaning that not everything happens by ourselves. Things happen by, it has to be sanctioned. So it has to be sanctioned. Yes, so we had stopped on that point when we were going more into the causal aspect. Yeah, and then we said that now all these ingredients exist. So meaning kala, karma, and this swabhav and providence, but then there has to be a motivation for all this to happen, for the karma to happen. So the motivation is coming from
The desire, knowledge,
lack of
desire, and
knowledge.
activity.
Yeah, meaning, or in other words, lack of knowledge, avidya.
Ignorance.
All right.
Ignorance.
Yeah, ignorance. Yes. All right. So these are the pushing force that make the jiva act. And so a false understanding of who we are, false understanding that we are the Purusha, we are the enjoyers. All right. Then second comes, so this is
Desire.
then the desire. So inside that the heart of the jiva is so many desires. So this is the impetus for actions. All right, we've got this clear. So these are basic. How the soul has taken birth in this world. And now let's go on. Text 65. That's where we stop.
Text 66, 65.
66. Yeah, 66. एकांग भाषे करे माया ते मिलन माया है ते जन्मे तबे ब्रह्मांडेरा गना. All right, who wants to read? Who hasn't read? Amrita, you want to read?
Yes, Mataji, thank you. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The reflected rays of his body mix with Maya, and thus Maya gives birth to myriad universes. The Vedic conclusion is that the cosmic manifestation visible to the eyes of the conditioned soul is caused by the absolute truth. The personality of Godhead, through the exertion of his specific energies, although in the conclusion of the atheistic deliberations, this manifested cosmic exhibition is attributed to material nature. The energy of the absolute truth is exhibited in three ways: spiritual, material, and marginal. The absolute truth is identical with his spiritual energy. Only when contacted by the spiritual energy can the material energy work, and the temporary material manifestations thus appear active. In the conditioned state, the living entities of the marginal energy are a mixture of spiritual and material energies. The marginal energy is originally under the control of the spiritual energy, but under the marginal energy is originally under the control of the spiritual energy, but under the control of the material energy, the living entities have been wandering in forgetfulness within the material world since time immemorial.
Okay,
The
now, these are such, each paragraph has volumes of information, right? So better we analyze properly what is being said. So that what is the Vedic conclusion, right? So, what is the Vedic conclusion concerning what?
the world that we see around, the cosmic
Yes.
manifestation.
Yes. And what about it? What is the Vedic conclusion about it?
That it is through the exertion of the specific energies of the personality of Godhead.
That the Vedic conclusion is that this cosmic manifestation, whatever we are seeing visible to us, is caused by
The absolute truth, the personality of Godhead.
all right. This is the Vedic conclusion. Is there any other conclusion?
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, correct. All right. So the scientists said there was just a big bang and the cosmic manifestation became visible. All right. Whereas the Vedic conclusion that no, there is a God behind it. All right. Plain and simple language. You know, so the scientists have their own philosophy and they put forward their philosophy. And then here, the Vedic acharyas, they're putting forward their philosophy. And it's always like a tussle, it's a debate. So who's right, who's wrong? All right. So whoever has the most power, like right now, who has the most power?
Scientists and
Shrikala, who has the most power? The Vedic conclusion or the conclusion of the scientist? Who has most power?
The scientist.
Vedic conclusion.
Yeah, the scientists, right?
Yeah.
Right. The scientists are more
Now
power.
it is
They're ruling over the world right now. So therefore, people start to believe that the cosmic manifestation is coming from a big bang. And that's why they capture all the schools and they teach this to each and every child. Right? And then the poor Vedic acharyas, they have to run behind everybody one by one and say, no, no, it's not true. It's not true. Here's our book. Read our book. It's not true. That's exactly what we are doing, right?
And that human being came from chimpanzee.
Yes.
No, that is the Darwinian theory. See, when we were in school, we were taught the Darwin's theory. But now when our kids are in school, they have moved from the Darwin theory to the Big Bang theory. So the scientists are also moving from one theory to another. Finally, it's a theory.
So Darwin is no more.
No, they are not teaching. In Indian schools, they are not teaching the Darwinian theory.
So what do they teach?
Now they are teaching the Big Bang theory, that all of a sudden the material
Yep,
manifestation
explosion.
has happened with a bang. Earlier it was, as Mataji said, this chimpanzee to this monkeys to humans, that was a phase. But now we have all been created together all of a sudden and it's with a bang.
Because of the Big Bang. Big Bang.
Because of the bang, yes.
Okay. So now, how did the Supreme Lord create?
Glance.
Through his
Glancing on the-
specific energies.
Yes,
Yeah.
to specific the exertion of his specific
Specific
energies.
energies.
So yes, the
Mhm.
Supreme Lord is behind the creation, but how is he creating? Through his specific energies. Now, what are those energies?
Spiritual, material, and marginal.
Yes, okay. So the Supreme Lord's energies are spiritual, material, and marginal. So the absolute truth is identical with his spiritual energy. All right. Only when contacted by the spiritual energy can the material energy work and the temporary material manifestation thus appear active. Meaning that material energy, okay, this material energy is inactive, temporary and inactive. Remember which text was that discussed? Back in your book. Which text?
No.
Hmm.
Mataji 59.
Yes, read it.
Prakriti is dull and inert. It cannot actually be the cause of the material world, but Lord Krishna shows his mercy by infusing his energy into the dull, inert nature, material nature.
Okay. Same thing Prabhupada is writing here. Right? That was the text 59 was by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And in the purport, Prabhupada is writing the same thing. Right? So only when contacted by the spiritual energy can the material energy work. So who is that spiritual energy?
The absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead.
Yes. Why you said this? That this spiritual energy is the absolute truth?
Because through our conditioned eyes, we know that it is.
No. You read in the book.
Because it's talking about how the temporary material manifestation came up. So it has to be the supreme personality of Godhead who activated to make the material manifestation come up.
Because Prabhupada writes, the absolute truth is
Identical with his
Identical
spiritual.
with his spiritual energy.
All right. Each and every sentence that Prabhupada is writing
It's full
has
of
some
meaning.
meaning, all right?
Mm.
Has some meaning.
Mm.
Logical, one after the other. There's some logic behind each line of argument. All right. So meaning so this spiritual energy is activating the material energy, it's giving it the push. But that spiritual energy, its origin is the Supreme Lord. All right? The Supreme Lord and his spiritual energy are identical. So when the push is given on matter, that matter which is dull and inert appears alive.
Life.
Even though matter is dead. So that's how we get fooled. We look at a person and we can see the person is born, lives for some time, then deteriorate, and then finally comes die. So we think the person has died. But it's actually only the body that has undergone its natural process of growth and decay. All right. So what is it that was looking alive?
The soul.
The soul. All right.
The consciousness.
Yeah, the soul. So the body appeared alive due to the soul. All right. Just like I push my car. I'm pushing my car, right? Somebody is not saying, only saying the car is moving. All right. But what actually, you're pushing the car. That's why it's moving. But it seems that the car is moving by itself. Correct? Your car is not taking off, right? You give it, you push. So somebody from a child, you say, oh, the car is moving by itself. But no, actually, you are applying. So then it looks like the car is moving by itself. Yeah, in the conditioned state, the living entities of the marginal energy are a mixture. So that's what we are saying. Jiva consists of
Spiritual and material.
And material.
a soul, so a mixture, meaning the soul has got mixed up with the material elements.
I thought it was more,
And the process,
sometimes it's material, sometimes it's spiritual. It's not a mixture.
well, here, the soul got mixed up. In the conditioned state, the living entities of the marginal energy are a mixture of spiritual and material energies. And the process of yoga is to remove the soul from the body. Like Prabhupada's explain about the soul. The soul is wearing garment, right? The body that we are wearing is a garment. And that garment is exactly according to the shape of the soul who is in conditioned state. So sometimes we are wearing a human garment, sometimes an animal garment, all right? So the soul, so it's exactly the way you wear your clothes. So you're completely mixed up with your clothes. Your clothes. So the soul is mixed up. But as we also know, it's like oil and water. They can never actually, they're immiscible, right? So that's why you are able to separate the two. Okay, so the marginal energy is originally under the control of the spiritual energy. But under the control of the material energy, so we are spiritual in the beginning, originally, but when we come in contact with material energy, then we forget. We forget
Our
about
true self.
Yeah, we forget ourselves.
Modes,
Our
right?
true self, yes.
Yeah, we forget
The three
ourselves.
right? The three modes of nature. When we come into contact with the modes,
Yeah,
then
yeah, we get
then
so involved in activities.
forgetfulness. Yeah.
We get so involved in activities, doing this, you know. Rajogun, Tamogun, maybe some Sattva also, right? So involved that life is passing by. You say, oh my God, one cycle is over. We're not even conscious of it. One cycle is over. Okay. Okay, now read. Who wants to read the next paragraph? Okay. All right, Devahuti.
The conditioned state is caused by misuse of individual independence of the spiritual platform. For this separates the living entity from the association of the spiritual energy. But when the living entity is enlightened by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee and becomes inclined to revive his original state of loving service, he is on the most auspicious platform of eternal bliss and knowledge. The marginal jiva or living entity misuses his independence and becomes averse to the eternal service attitude when he independently thinks he is not energy but the energetic. This misconception of his own existence leads him to the attitude of lording it over material nature.
So what is the jeev doing? What is the soul who's originally pure? What is he doing in this matter? How did it come in touch with matter?
Because of his misuse of independence.
He decides what he wants to do. Right. So this section we know very well. What we just read. We're familiar with this. Correct, Shikala?
Yes.
We can proceed. All right.
Material nature.
Okay. Rashmi, you want to read this paragraph now?
Material nature appears to be just the opposite of the spiritual energy. The fact is that the material energy can work only when in contact with the spiritual energy. Originally, the energy of Krishna is spiritual, but it works in diverse ways, like electrical energy, which can exhibit the functions of refrigeration or heating through its manifestations in different ways. The material energy is spiritual energy covered by a cloud of illusion or Maya. Therefore, the material energy is not self-sufficient in working. Krishna invests his spiritual energy into material energy and then it can act. Just as an iron can act like fire after being heated by fire. the material energy can act only when empowered by the spiritual energy.
Okay, so tell me what we just read.
So without the material energy has no power of its own. It is only when the spiritual energy, means the Lord, wants it to be activated, then it starts to work. And in the second line, it said that Krishna's energy, the spiritual energy, is working in different ways. Like electricity can, if it is electricity goes to a fridge, then we get cold water. If it goes to a heater, boiler, then we get hot water. So like that, when Krishna's spiritual energy is working through Maya, then it is material energy. I've confused now, Mataji, sorry.
Anyway, you got it. So it's very simple. Energy is one, all right? Like electricity is one only. But how it's being used, all right? So when it goes through a certain system, it causes cooling. And when it goes into another system, it causes heat. But the electricity is one only. So similarly, energy is spirit by nature. Why is it spirit? Because emanating from the Supreme Lord. Anything that comes from the Supreme Lord has to be spiritual. But function is manifested differently. So therefore, it branches out into material energy, spiritual energy, and marginal energy. All right? And but specifically, this material energy is not self-sufficient. So even though it's like secondary, the material energy is like secondary. It's dependent. So it's dependent on the working of the spiritual energy. Just like say, I take my book and I keep it on the table. It will never move unless I pick it up, right? If I don't pick it up, it will just stay there eternally. But it has the potential energy, all right? This book has a potential energy. What is that potential energy? It can be lifted up, right? Sometimes I take like an object. Okay, I don't take a book, I can take another object. So this object by itself has, it's inert, but it has a potential to convert into a kinetic energy, another type of energy. How? When I take it and I throw it, the potential energy develops into a different type of energy. It becomes a kinetic energy, meaning that it can move by its own force, but it will drop. Right? It will drop. We all know this.
It says the material energy can act only when empowered by the spirit.
Yes.
So even the living entity is going like in a material, way. He's still empowered.
He's still
empowered.
He's still empowered by the spiritual.
Yes.
But in the wrong way. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, Indira Radha, you can be.
When covered by the cloud of material energy, the living entity, who is also a spiritual energy of the spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead, forgets about the activities of the spiritual energy and considers all that happens in the material manifestation to be wonderful. But a person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and who is therefore already situated in the spiritual energy can understand that the material energy has no independent powers. Whatever actions are going on are due to the help of the spiritual energy. The material energy, which is a perverted form of the spiritual energy, presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions and duality. Material scientists and philosophers, conditioned by the spell of material nature, suppose that material energy acts automatically, and therefore they are frustrated, like an illusion person who tries to get milk from the nipples, like bunches of skin on the neck of the goat. As if there is no possibility of getting milk from these bunches of skin, there is similarly no possibility that anyone will be successful in understanding the original cause of creation by putting forward theories produced by the material energy. Such an attempt is a manifestation of ignorance.
See, I think this paragraph is very interesting. Very interesting, also pathetic, I would say. Really pathetic, because we all put our hope in the words of the scientists. They have caught hold of the attention and the faithfulness, the loyalty of people also. And they are being led somewhere and it's leading nowhere because there is no solution. They promise something, but actually they cannot deliver what they promise. So let's read this in terms of energy.
True.
All right. All right. So I have just given you an example of what you can observe in practice. Now let us examine this in terms of energy, the principles behind it. Okay. So when covered by the cloud of material energy, what is that cloud you're referring to?
Maya.
The external potency of the Lord.
We already know this. There is an example given in the creation, right? Remember? There is the spiritual sky, all right? There's the entire spiritual sky, which is bright, like Brahmajyoti, right? And then in one corner of that Brahmajyoti, a cloud is formed, that cloud of Mahat Tattva, the cloud of material energy. All right? Remember this? You got the picture? Let me see if there's a picture here.
And Mataji, Pradhan is actually a part of that Mahat Tattva.
Yeah, it is Mahat Tattva.
Pradhan and Prakriti are part of Mahat Tattva. Is it correct?
Yeah, Pradhan is the origin, the primary matter, right? It manifests as Mahat Tattva. It takes a shape, right? Mahat Tattva. Remember, Pradhan is seed form. You know what's the meaning of Pradhan, right? In Hindi, when you say Pradhan, what does Pradhan mean? Yes, Rashmi, what does it mean, Pradhan?
It means mukhya, a chief.
Yeah, the mukhya, or the chief, right? The primordial matter, right? Then this will take the shape of Mahat Tattva. And how that happens is when the Supreme Lord is glancing on that Pradhan. So then it starts to make its shape.
That's the Garbo
Yeah, yes, right? And then this material energy start to produce varieties because of the contact of the Purusha with the material energy. Then all the different varieties of creation happen. Now here, when covered by the cloud of material energy, so you remember now the cloud? God, my camera, I don't know what's happening to my camera.
We don't see.
You know what to do, how to do? Just let her do it. So when covered by the cloud of material energy, the living entity who is also a spiritual energy of the Supreme Person Godhead, forgets, all right, forgets about the activities of the spiritual energy. Yeah, what do you want to do? What if I just do something here?
Continue the rules then.
Yeah. So the living being is actually the spiritual energy of the Lord. Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha, the enjoyer, and Prakriti, the enjoyed. So the living entity is a spiritual energy of the Lord, but he forgets about doing spiritual activities. What is the meaning of spiritual activities? What is spiritual activities?
Service to the Lord.
Yes. Yeah, service to the Lord. And what does he do?
He serves himself.
Yes. So that's what we call material activities, karma. So he just very nicely, put away Krishna's service from his mind, and he's left with only himself. All right, it's Jiva is I minus Krishna. Right? Krishna consciousness means I exist along with Krishna, plus Krishna. So he forgets about the activities of the spiritual energy and considered all that happens in the material manifestation to be wonderful. So that's how we put forward. Just see, the scientists have created this computer. They are wonderful, right? But nobody is looking at how defective this program is, this creation is. And nobody is looking at the original creator. They create such a machine that every 5 years you have to throw it away.
No, but they do it on purpose so that you can buy. It's all
Marketing
all
gimmick.
business. Yeah, they will give you a phone which can last only 2 years. You have to buy another one.
Yes, but they also
How?
started somewhere, right? They also started, and it's defective. My point is that it's defective. Whatever they may create is defective, highly defective. That's how one company beats another company, right? That's how the competition goes.
Totally defective. There's a brain behind it, and behind that brain is Krishna. This is what they don't want to accept.
Well, so see what we are
There's
discussing
brain
here.
behind the scientist.
Yeah, what we are discussing here is that depending on your brain, you are able to harness only a specific amount of Krishna's brain.
Yes.
Everything is coming from Krishna. All right. So depending on your own IQ, you are able to harness only that much.
Yeah.
Somebody may be more than you, and they can harness little more, but everybody is saying that I did it.
Yeah.
And therefore, you've got different companies who are competing with each other. Right? And who wins is somebody who is more smart than somebody else. But nobody is accepting or realizing that actually I'm picking somebody else's brain.
This is exactly what they did in COVID with the vaccine. And they're still doing it again.
Anyway, they've been doing it since many years. But that's the point.
And they will continue to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it forgets about the activities of the spiritual energy and considers all that happens in the material manifestation be wonderful. Yes, correct. But a person who is engaged in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness and who is therefore already situated in the spiritual energy can understand that the material energy has no independent powers. whatever actions are going on are due to the help of the spiritual energy. I gave the example, if your car is not, has stalled, and you get out of the car and you push it, an ignorant person will think that the car is moving by itself. But actually, there is somebody who's alive, who's pushing the car, which is dead matter. All right? The spiritual energy is pushing the dead matter. Yes, so now again, the material energy is what?
Perverted
Perverted form of
spiritual energy.
spiritual energy. Why is it said that it's perverted?
Because in the spiritual sky, it exists, but in the reflection is perverted.
There has to be a common point between the two, then it's perverted.
But it's like the reflection, that
Yes.
horizon.
So what is it that's perverted?
Activities.
Yes.
Mataji, the activities are perverted in the sense whatever is happening in the spiritual world, we are doing it here, but it is, it is not the right, like we are living our life, but there also we are living our life, but then we are living our life in association with Krishna. Here we are living our life separate of Krishna. So living of the life is the same, but the activities are topsy-turvy.
Yep. So Prabhupada explained that serving. In both material and spiritual, we are serving.
Okay.
This is the common point. Whether
Okay.
it is material world or the spiritual world, it is serving.
But one is serving
but the service, the service in the material world is perverted. All right? That we would never have known if Prabhupada wouldn't have told us.
No.
That was a really discovery.
No, because everybody feels it's very natural to serve oneself.
Yeah. Yes, so the material energy, which is a perverted form of the spiritual energy, presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions and duality. Like everybody say, you don't understand me. That's a common thing, right? You say, you don't understand me. And they say, oh, I had a misconception of what I am or who you are. Right? This is the whole psychology, the whole conflict, whole misery that's going on in the entire world. I misunderstood who you are. And I understood who I am. I misunderstood what our relationship is. So it caused conflict. So the material energy, which is a perverted form of the spiritual energy, presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions. Like the main misconception is that I believe everything belongs to me, that I'm the controller. This is the major misconception.
And the doer, yeah.
Yeah, the controller and the doer, and therefore the enjoyer, right? Presents everything pervertedly, thus causing misconceptions and duality. Duality meaning that our interests are separate. You have your interest and I have my interest. Therefore, there are two of us. So like today, all these, philosophy that's floating around, that in any situation, it has to be a win-win situation, right? The entire philosophy today has to be win-win. You win, I also win. Meaning there are two dualities. Whereas in the spiritual concept, it is there is only one winner. Right? Everybody is working together so that that one supreme personality of Godhead is pleased. And he's the winner. And when he's the winner, everybody else is calm. Everybody else is happy. Because that supreme winner is such a personality that he will make sure that everybody wins and is happy. Right?
Yeah.
Material scientists and philosophers. So here we have two types of philosophy. One is the material scientists and the philosophers. Conditioned by the spell of material nature, suppose, okay, they suppose, they don't know, but they suppose that material energy acts automatically. Nature, what's behind, how is it done? It's just nature, material nature is doing, right? The natural laws, we say, they say it's all automatic. Unless and until Prabhupada came and said, no, if you say Mother Nature, there has to be Father. You cannot say Mother Nature. Everybody speaks of Mother Nature. So if you speak of Mother Nature, automatically there has to be Father. All right? But Aram say, material scientists and philosophers, everything's happening automatically. Big Bang and everything starts moving by itself. Automatically, sun is rising automatically, it's setting automatically, it's going through, all the zodiac belt from one sign to the next, it's going automatically, seasons are changing, time is changing, right?
By the fear of Krishna.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're not saying Krishna, they say everything's going on
automatically
by itself, auto mode. I don't know. Actually, I could never understand how an automatic car runs. Is it actually automatic?
Yes.
How does it run? How does it run?
Use the clutches. You just
Sorry?
goes on by itself. No, the first you have to put it in the gear, but then it goes by itself.
It goes by itself and then what?
Which speed it has to go into higher one, lower one, it changes automatically.
Then?
But then it also needs a driver. Without a driver,
yes, definitely.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
It's not
No,
that
Mataji, but now there are cars like Tesla which are using artificial intelligence to sense if there is some other car or object nearby. So then they'll also be able to steer themselves a little bit better than the automatic ones.
So you're going to sit in that car, you're ready to sit in that car.
Let them develop it properly then, hopefully.
No, the car will be so powerful through the AI that even if it is running on a freeway, it knows that what kind of traffic it is. Well, it's a big risk, but the car is going to be so powerful through the AI, it's going to sense. And if some traffic comes next to it, it's able to sense that and move automatically to the next lane. Well, it's 100% automatic. We'll have to wait and watch. We are moving there. It's like a robot.
But the engineering has been done by some person, and that can also fail.
That will be defective.
That could be defective. There has to be so many test
drives. If accident happens, then we'll see.
So I feel there's nothing automatic. Even that is being made by some person, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we are just saying, but something like that is also coming in the market, and I'm sure there must be so many prototypes that they are working on at this point of time, just to get that final
Yeah, and then-
automatic
yeah,
car.
So that maker is going to sit in it and try it.
Bataji, they are
No,
doing
and
the
they say that they did it, not God. You see, there's no my brain.
Yeah.
It's my
Yeah.
brain.
No, I'm just asking
Not-
the maker is
not
going to sit
anybody
and
else. Yeah.
try it out.
But who
Anyway,
gave you the brain?
yeah, the point is that they want to say, I am the creator,
Yeah.
the controller, the enjoyer.
No, they just want to deny there's a creator. And
Yes.
everything that's happening in the world is happening. And that's it, finished. When you're dead,
Yeah.
you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
So material scientists and philosophers conditioned by the spell of material nature suppose that material energy acts automatically, and therefore they want to create a machine that proves that things move automatically.
Hmm.
You get the point?
Hmm.
This is the idea behind it, because they say material nature works automatically. All right? Meaning they don't even need you, a living being, to operate the machine. That's what they want to prove. They don't need you. The only thing they need is that you have great faith in the machine and you sit there and let everything move on automatically. Right?
Yeah, but there has to be an input in that machine.
Anyway,
For
for now, that's where they are. Okay, that's what they want to prove. I'm just speaking of this. They want to prove that everything is going on automatically. And therefore, they're frustrated. Okay. How much money they spend in it? How much time and money? How
Oh, well,
how many people they have employed and de-employed? All right. All those who put in their brain and thought, I've got a steady job, and then they find out that their machine is not working, then they become de-employed. Now, what's that? Laid off. No,
lay off.
we don't need you anymore, right? So you were studying one line, in science, and suddenly you have no job. Now you have to shift and find another automatic program for you, right? Where you can earn your living. So here Prabhupada is saying that frustrated, like an illusion person who tries to get milk from the nipple-like bunches of skin on the neck of a goat, meaning that it looks, under the skin of a goat, it looks like there's milk there, but actually it's not true. It's an illusion. There is no possibility of getting milk from these bunches of skin. There is similarly no possibility that anyone will be successful in understanding the original cause of creation by putting forward theories produced by the material energy. Such an attempt is a manifestation of ignorance. So, as we all grew up, all of us know that one subject is about creation, right? We study physics and biology, all these
Chemistry.
sciences. We study all this, all right? And everything is about creation. Scientists is completely enthralled by the material creation. That's their whole life, to study material creation. But unless and until we came to Prabhupada's book, we didn't realize that actually every philosophy wants to understand creation. Whatever book it may be, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, or whether it is the Vedic literatures, everybody is speaking of creation. So it's not only the scientists who are speaking of creation, right? But when we say God created, then the scientists become angry. Oh, you say God creates? You must be superstitious, right? When actually every philosophy wants to prove that there is some type of creator, or disprove that there is any creator at all. And it's all hot debate. So this is one important thing. Let's run through this. We won't complete. Okay, so we'll stop here. I think this is sufficient. All right, so we are on text 66, end of the page. The last paragraph will continue.
Hare
All
Krishna,
right.
Mataji, have you changed the timing?
Yeah, it's 4 o'clock.
4 to 5. Okay.
Yeah, 4 to 5. Yeah. All right. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I just 1 minute. I just want to do something. If somebody is not in a hurry. You can just stay online. Some of you are not in a hurry. I'll just stop this space.